Okay, so this is where we left off. What we need to do is that our bot is set up now with Identity Server, and we can show that right here. If I go and I debug on Identity Server, we can see this thing start to run. Yeah, sir. No music on stream because of YouTube. That's correct. And so this Identity Server, I believe it comes with its own MVC, which we're not necessarily going to use. This represents a token, so it looks like that at the moment we are logged on, so we can go home and we can do it like a log out. And now I'm logged out, so that way when I go back here, all right, we should be good to go. So now what I want to do is I need to have this Identity Server running, and we're going to be authing it against the MVC. I have a problem though. At the moment I don't have any forms authorization, so in my web API I just added that in, and now what I want to do is I want to add in the little bit of form authorization code that I had. The first one that I have is here. We should have something in here called sign in async. Sign in async passes in this identity user and also whether or not it's persistent. And here is our forms sign out. And you want to create an identity using this identity code. Currently need to add in our user manager. So for this, it looks like that I should be able to just reset this one file, because that's something I can do. Copy old version. I should just be able to do that. Maybe? Hold on. There might be a way that if I grab the old one here, I dump it in, and then I do a find and replace here for this, and we just want to do nothing. Good there. Peter, how's it going there? Caroline, how are you? It's interesting. Okay. My priorities this morning: coffee, nap, server, hobby projects, work. They should be the way around. We want to get rid of this here. We want to get rid of that. Application user manager. We need to make sure that we have that in here. We have this other thing called account login model. I don't have a reference to that at the moment. So let's add these. The first one that I want to add is get rid of that. And this one here. And that one. Okay, identity here is my user. Okay. This says that this is an async. We'll just put this as a, well, we can do that. We'll do this as a return. I wonder if this is a waitable function. It is not. And then we'll just return a await task.from result of an object of type null. That's a separate line. Okay. Copy. That sounds good. Coffee should always be first. Okay. We need to come up and add in our remaining pieces. PHS MVC context. I have something called Application Database Manager here. Let's go ahead and copy the old version. Over here in my MVC, we have it here under my context. Actually, I think I might have a solution for this that's faster. Let me do it over here for just a second. So one of the things that we're going to be using today is called .NET Auth. And I haven't used this yet, so this will be fun. But it doesn't look very challenging. We wanted to do a program relay. And we can do it right here. This is our method. Let's add a folder over here called context. And in this, I need to add my application database user. Application user manager. Let's see if that's all I need. Okay, and now over in my get, I can copy this, copy old version. We can dump this in. We don't need any of this stuff. We need to remove this from the current document. And we need to get rid of that. And then we also need to inherit my application user manager. Whoops, I put the wrong one in here, huh? This I'm calling my application role manager, but my application user manager is unstage everything. This is my application user manager, bad form. So we need to get rid of this. We need to get rid of this, like that. And then also we want to get rid of the additions. And it looks like we don't need 2 of those or 2 of those. Did I get the same thing? No, that one. And then we get the user validator here. Okay, we need to add in a new interface. And we're going to call this application user manager. I'm in pain all over. I went to X-Fit yesterday for tomorrow's pains. They say you're supposed to do it again, and that will help. I don't know who they is. Application user manager. It looks like we don't need this as a class. Get rid of those. Get rid of the pluses and the minuses again. And then get rid of that. Okay, so this is looking pretty good now. If I look at application user manager, this looks pretty good. And if I come back to my login controller, what we see is that I need to also have this what's called an account login model, and I think that's under my account models or something like that. In just a second. I'm just looking for the file real quick to add in. This one. And this goes here within my models. And it's in this account view model. It goes right there. All right. So now let's actually take a look. When I'm coming into my account controller, this thing is authorized. Now, my authorize is done a little bit different. If we look up here at my controllers, I have the new authorized tags look like this. So these go here. Okay, when I look at the manager associated with that here in the correct project, you can see that this thing is looking for Pixel Horror Studios website, and we're going to say that this is going to be my PHS underscore login. So then we're going to change that here. So this needs to have read access. We don't need to worry about that. When we log in, this is the get. So we're going to come to the page. We have this return URL. We're going to ensure that we're logged out. The view, I believe, doesn't have a view model on it anymore. If I look at the view for account, for login, you can see I removed the view model, so we're good there. When you post on this, we have an anti-validation token. This potentially needs to come out. There is no login model. There is no state. There is no token. There is no succeeded here. We just create this new. This thing should be true. And my sign-in async here should be my identity user. Identity user is being assigned at the user level, so this needs to be user.identity. And then we're going to so I think that there's a way to do like a var user equals application user manager dot create async, create identity async. And this thing wants to get a new identity user, and a new identity user looks like a username, which is going to be equal to my user.identity.get user ID. Now hold on a second. I believe that this goes in a different location, because over here on my startup, when I'm looking at this application where it's registering, I believe I can do my sign-in right here. Does this thing have a reference to my application user manager? It does not. So this is going to return the ID. So I'm going to put like a question mark to do I sign in here? And then we're going to try signing in right here. And then we also want to do a username, which is equal to a user.identity.username. We're going to have to verify this here in just a second. So I'm going to move this identity user out then. We can close this thing. So I'm going to pull this, and then we don't have a model error and there is no view. Redirect to local URL. If it came from a specific page, redirect back to it. That's fine. So this thing has to have this account view model on it, right? And this needs to have identity on it. Okay, so when I'm logging in, I'm going to have a post that's going to do this login script. Additionally, I have an error here. That's fine. I have a register, ensure log out, View registration models, that's fine. We have a post for the registration. We're not going to worry about this for now. I have this log out, which is fine. Log out needs to have the code that comes with identity server. So I believe what that is you also have this request.get onContext.authentication.signout. And I'm going to verify that right now. Get, and then a redirect. This one should allow anonymous, right? No, you have to be logged in to get that one. Redirect to local here is a... Okay. Add errors. It's fine. I think I can just do this. Lock. Don't care. Oh yeah, that's a locked account. And then also this one where you set your authorization cookie. It's just a couple more. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore. Create async is asking for this identity. And then also a password, which it doesn't need if I recall correctly. I think that's an overload. So now I want to take a look at the view for login. There's no view model. And here, there's going to be this form action called login, which is going to be a post. And when you click submit, you do need to have this model. And it's a phs.lib.auth.viewModels. No, it's my phs.mvc.models.account login model. So that way this has something to send back. We'll just let it do that for now. Okay, and when I look back at the controller, I see that this is receiving there. And I need to also get right here, it's a new account login model. Same thing here. Okay, and the other thing that we need to do is we need to ensure that my dependency injection container is set up correctly. So if I look inside of my app start, I should see this bootstrapper. And here's my container with my credentials in here. This is my BLL, which is currently how I'm doing my auth, but we'll be swapping this out. And then here, this is your client services. You have client services auth, client services alley chat. This is your BLL. You also need to have one here for your application user manager. An application user manager just has a iUser store, so that's correct. And then I have in this case an application role manager, but I'm not necessarily doing that at the moment. I should be able to build this. Just 1 second, please. Okay. So let's give this a run. Well, I want to actually make sure over here on my controller that when you click login, instead of allowing anonymous, this needs to have a required resource. After this signs you in, we want to do a redirect, and we're going to check to see where this wants to redirect me. Here we go. Okay, it's loaded. Okay, it tells me that it has a problem. There's a duplicate system.web.extensions. Just a moment then. I have to take a look at my web config. Let me fix that. It wants me to put this so this is what I'm moving here. And so I need to know where I put authentication. Authentication tags ASP.NET MVC web.config system.web. Just a moment. Let's give that a try. Here we go. Looks good. Okay, it's asking me to come to my home. It says, are you authenticated, which is false. Am I missing a connection string? Just a moment. It looks like I'm missing a connection string, so just another moment. I'm pulling this from my resource web API. And I'm putting this into my web.ip config, and then I want to change my initial catalog to have a .mvc on it. Now I can bring this back. Let's try it again. Okay, it's loaded. We see that it's not authenticated, and it's still telling me that this is an abstract class. So let me take a look here again at my context for application user manager. When I look back at my dependency injection, I think I need to have this one. And also this one. So I don't currently have my application database manager in here, so let's add that. Application DB context, and I should already have that in this get, and I do. So just a second. MVC context application user manager. Copy old version. Interesting. So it's this one, sorry. We want to copy the old version here. We'll put this in here. We can delete this stuff. I can delete almost for sure everything here. And then add this tag in there, and add this tag in there, and then get rid of that. And then additionally, we need to add in this interface, which looks there. I'm going to copy the old version, and I'm going to bring this in as a new item, and we're going to call this my interface. And we want to bring in my I application DB context. Shit, pardon me. Go ahead and add all this stuff in. We can remove that first line. We can get rid of all this stuff, and then finally that one goes away. Okay, let's try running this again. Okay, so here we are. We're at my authorization. I need to check my identity server here. It's going to start a new instance because we need that as well. God damn it. Okay, so here we go. We're going to log in, and it's going to redirect me right back here to my login page. Now, why did it do that? When I look here at my home controller, I can see that when I look at the login in my account, okay, so here, what this wants is this wants a validate anti-forgery token, and I believe that that could potentially be the problem. Let me take a look. If I change this out, and I change this out, and I want to say allow anonymous. Let's see if our first call will work like that. Okay, it says you're not authenticated. We add in my login. Okay, so that takes, and it's going to tell me that it doesn't have a user ID, right? This identity should not have a user ID because it has no username. So we need to do my if my view model dot if my user dot identity dot username get username. If this is going to be equal to my string dot is empty or null, then you want to return to local. So we want to do a return redirect to local, and we'll just do it like that. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to add this in. Now it might be a claim that we add. We have to check that. Okay, and then we log in. We're going to check to see our name. So it says required resource, PHS. So did it decide that I am authorized? So if I look at the manager over here, currently it's just telling me, let's see what happens when it evaluates that. So it never authorized me because I have it set to allow anonymous still. So back over here on account. Hey there, MoveBot. How are you doing today? A gamer Ja, how are you? It's good to see you. Welcome to the channel. I need to get rid of that. So what I'm doing right now, MoveBot, is I'm setting it up to use forms authorization with the identity server. And then I'm going to be using .NET Auth to pull in the remainder of the tokens that I need for this app. Okay, it's not authenticated. It drops me in, we click login. It's going to verify, it says okay. It's going to check to see if I'm verified, and it is going to kick me out. So this is looking for PHS login case. PHS login, it should have kicked me there. If I look back here at my account controller, it says PHS login. Just a moment. Let's try it again. So it's checking, it says yes, it's going to check here, it's going to then evaluate whether my context principal, which has one identity, which is a generic identity, has this claim on it. So this principal has how many claims? None. One. And it does not. And so it should unauthorize me instead of asking me to log in. And this is taking me to this account login URL. So let me come over here real quick, and I'm going to change it so that this is actually pointing me to the correct location. And I have to do that in my web API. So just a second here. I'm taking from my startup the identity server. And I want to put this down here in my web API under my authorization endpoint. No, this one, sorry. There it is. Let's try it again. Context or null was something on the first run. Yeah, I needed to. Hey, Cab, U, Kik, Tana. How are you? Is that a Hawaiian name? I don't know. It's got a lot of alliteration, but it sure sounds nice. I like the Kika in the middle. Context was null. Yeah, it was null because I didn't have my application user manager or context, my application database context, you know, the extension of the identity database. I did not have that. And let's try the login, and it's going to check, and it says no. And now what it wants to do is come over and jump my identity server. So that's great. It's working the way that we want, but I need to start my identity server. This ain't going to work without it. And then also now I want to start, I should stop everything. Let me run this again. Okay, it's going to check, it's going to check. And it doesn't have the authorization server running, so let me run that again. So this is not pushing me to the correct return URL at the moment. So I'm going to actually remove that forms authorization because I think that that is actually the problem. Just one second. Let's run it. I can take these off. I'm also going to start this thing up. I'm pretty sure we'll be good to go, and then I can implement .NET and Auth. 1, 2, a 3, 3. Okay, it's asking here if it's authenticated. Now, I think it's actually going to be asking for a claim or something. We'll check. So here we go. When you log in, it kicks me over to my login server. We're going to do an external login with Twitch. It's going to add here my claims. And it logged me out for some reason. Let's try that again. Here's the web page. It's going to check to say, are you authenticated? We're going to redirect to the login. Try the login. It's going to give me an external login. Yes, I want to accept all these claims, and it says you are logged out. So why is this redirecting me to log out? After I get authenticated here with Twitch, it's kicking me back up here, right? And it should be logging me in. Try it again. And it's never making it through. I think that it's erroring here. Because I don't think this context contains all of this stuff. Let's see. Just a second. So we're going to come in and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've added all the roles. And it's immediately kicking me out. Not for external authorization because I'm already logged in. So it's never kicking up to this middleware. But the reason why it's doing it is because here it's inside of my account controller. I remember explicitly what it is. When I'm doing a login and I'm hitting this page, we're ensuring that we're logged out. This is wrong. And what I want to do here is I want to check my user. Request.get Owen context dot. Let me stop right there and we'll try that again. Okay. We're hitting. It says you're not authenticated. Now I want to check my Owen context here for my authentication. Look at my user, and I have a number of different claims. Let me pull this over because I don't want to show the code if the code's being saved. Just a second. And it says currently there's no claims, which is fine. Let's go ahead and log in. Oh, I forgot to start the identity server. So it wants to get the external login. Okay, now it wants to add the claims, and it does. And now it's going to pass along my own context here. When it redirects me here, my return URL is null. When I look at my request at my claims, I have lots, and this includes all of them now, including my access token. So what I want to do is I want to look to see if I have one that says role, or if I have one that says ID token, or if I have one that says if it's issued from this identity. So let's do that. We're going to copy this one right here. So now here, we're going to say if my request dot get Owen context dot authentication dot user dot claims has claim. And the claim that we're adding is this. Then what you want to do is okay. Then what we want to do is we want to create a new identity user right here. Actually, I don't even think we need that. I don't think we need my user manager potentially, but we will because we're going to do this as a sign-in. And then we'll do a user manager. We're going to create it. We're going to do an await. So this needs to be a task of my action result in an asynchronous method. And we want this to be a remember me is going to be a true. We'll do a false. And then return to URL is going to be my return URL. This should probably just be like this. So now if it's not that, then you want to return this one. This one here is a post, right? And it should be passing in this login model, but it's telling me that it doesn't return everything. So if, when you hit this, you just want to return we can do like a redirect to action. And we're just going to see if this works. We'll do this as an index on my controller name of home. This thing doesn't want to be an asynchronous task anymore. Let's try it again. What chair is that, says Pella. I don't really know. It's something I bought off Amazon for like 60 bucks. It's okay. It's not great. It's okay. It doesn't recline, which is bad. And I can't move the armrests except up. That sucks. But you get what you pay for. All right, so currently it's saying that I'm authorized in. So let's do a home and then an index. So if it is telling me that I'm authenticated, which I am currently authenticated. So I should be able to go to account and go to logout. Here, it wants to get an anti-validation token. I don't think I necessarily need this, but what I do need is this. Try it again. All right, is it authenticated? We're going to go ahead and say probably yes, right? And then we can try the logout. It's going to tell me no. Oh, it didn't authenticate me, did it? You can improve security by closing out the open browser. So I want to come back and look at account and see if it is in fact hitting my logout. When I look back here on my home controller, oh, I'm sorry, it's actually in my view, in my shared, so, and then it's the template, right? And down here, it's going to be doing this header, as well as this ribbon. So we want to take a look at ribbon, home and dashboard. No, we don't want that one. We wanted the other one. So that was header. Place your logo is authenticated. Then you want to do this drop-down menu that says recent projects. And you want to do the one that says pull right is called top right. And we have one here that says probably log out, log in, log out, sign out. This is going to hit my URL action for log out is going to be called log out. Let's try it again. Still PHS login? What do you mean? This thing's going to be doing a get, correct? So if I look back, if I look here, is this thing, it's not. This is just doing a URL action and there is no validate token on it, right? But you could do this as a form, right? So if I look back over here at login, I have an example right here. I'll just pull this. We'll just try this real quick. We have this span. You can't put a form inside of a span. We want this to go to logout as a post. Ooh, that's fine. We don't need an ID on this. And then this is not a link. This is now a well, I think the easiest thing to do is we're going to comment this stuff back out, and then I want to come back over to my account controller, and we're just going to change this thing, this logout, to be an HTTP GET. Yeah, PHS login is the action. This isn't an action. This is a security for claims. So if I come back and look here at the manager in here, you can see that the claim is PHS login, and if it has the claim of admin, then we're okay. Okay, so now if I kick back over, let's try the logout. Forbidden was not found. So if I look back over here on log in or log out, I'm sorry, if I look at my account, log out, I currently have this resource. So it's saying that here, you're not currently authorized to hit this, right? Which is really interesting. So let's get rid of that for a moment. Try it again. In the ASP, you mean in the view? You're saying that here in the view for my login, that I'm using the incorrect action? No, not for login. Sorry, for header. This one. Partial top right. It was just a second. This one, you're saying that this one I'm doing log out. No, this one's log in. Or log out. That should be fine. Log out. Yeah, that's what we want. We want that one to be log out. Let this thing kick through. There it is. Let's get it's a log out. It still says that it can't find account log out. Do you have that as a view? Above. Right here. This is my logout. This login is only if you are... Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Good call. Let's try that. Good catch. Good eye. So I want to try this again. If we come back over here and then we do a log out and then a log out, this is going to tell me that it can't find it. It's looking for forbidden because it's saying that, oh, I know why. Because over here on my account, you added an authorization at the very top. So this actually needs to say allow anonymous. And now this needs to say if my request dot is authenticated. Then you want to do this log out. You want to clear this, and then you'll clear your claims, and then you'll redirect to your local. Let's try it again. That should work. That was good eye, by the way, serializer. That was a good eye. Okay, it's going to bring over, it's going to say, am I authenticated? Almost for sure it's going to say yes. Okay, let's kick out. It's going to bring me over and sign me out. It's looking, I think, for the identity server. It says that you are not logged out. And this should be redirecting me back to my app, but it's currently not. So now let's go ahead and try this again. Is this authenticated? It says false. And it logs us out. Perfect. Bam. Just like we wanted. And now I should be able to come in here and look at my different objects. So this is telling me that my client services is gone, which it is. And then also it's probably going to tell me the same thing over here on Twitch. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and get .NEF. So that got our authorization set up with Smart Admin, and we're not using we're using forms authentication, but we're not doing it through the web.config. So let's go ahead and close everything. When I look back at account, I probably need to check here to see if this account already exists. So if this thing has a claim, but this identity user, is this going to put it into the... No, this just sets my auth cookie. So user here is defined as this identity user. So I actually, it doesn't seem like I need to even use my application manager, does it? Let's try it out. Okay, let's kick out. You're now logged out. I got to get this thing to auto redirect back. It's not too hard. Okay, we want to do a login. We do a Twitch. It brings me in. I do a log out. It kicks me back. Now this thing again. So now what I want to do is I want to check back here. We can get rid of this. I can get rid of my application user manager. I can get rid of my application user manager. I can get rid of my application user manager here. I can get rid of these contexts. I can come into my DI container and I can remove my application DB context. I can also remove my client services application user manager and my ICE store. I bet you I can also remove entity framework now. So I have to think for a second. I think I can uninstall identity on it. Let's find out. I want to look at my PHS MVC, and I should be able to do like an uninstall package. And I want to call it my Microsoft.ASP.NET.IdentityFramework. That worked, and now I can uninstall Entity Framework, I'm sure. Keep this thing really lightweight, and now we can run this MVC. What's bundle config 2? Okay, so this is telling me that there's all kinds of problems now with identity user, so let's just verify. This is my login. My sign-in async is asking for this identity user, right? But all it really wants is a username. And so that means that here you can get rid of this. Sign-in async is asking for a username. This is my register, so we can just probably like get rid of this. And then we can probably like add here. I don't care, because none of this is going to work. And then here, this is a login with a return URL. So this is not my post back. This is when I create my identity here, which we don't need. I need to create this. My sign-in async is going to be my ASOIDJSA dot request authentication dot user dot and then what you want to do is you want to get the one which is called a claims dot where my we're going to call this my username, where my S dot, and then I think it's called my key, because there's a key value pair, so it's a type, is equal to, and now it's going to be called my constants dot, and this comes from my I gotta look at where we're seeding this thing down here under my domain for my code first migration. We want to look to see my done. You add this claim from these constants called add claims, which is under the identity server. Should have a context in here with a migration that you can check. Scopes, claims, No. Operational data. No. Client configuration data. No. It was here in the config. Actually, when I look here at client configuration, though, can I change this to be, if this one is 3, then my redirect URL is post logit redirect URL. Ah. It should be sending me to this page. But what you're looking for is in your scope, standard scopes, core models. And you have a constant here for each context scope in chat. For PHS, you're creating this new scope. For each scope in my standard scopes, which comes from Identity Server 3 core models. So the one that we want is Identity Server 3 core models constants. And then we have one here called preferred username, right? Scopes, standard scopes preferred username. Is it called standard claims? It is, and this is called preferred username. Singular default. Okay. Let's see how much we have to bring to get this thing. That's fine. Okay. We're going to say that this is my request.own context here. Like that. If my username is not equal to null, then you want to sign this in and redirect to the local. And we need to sign this in as my username. Now let's try to build it and try it again. Hey there, Topkinzoid. We would know if that was in fact the case. How are you doing there? Donated 1, hello. Has donated $5. Please respond. Has donated $300. Okay. If you guys haven't, please click the follow. And the YouTube is here, and it has all of the old videos available if you guys are interested. Let me go ahead and clear out these because we no longer need these pieces. We have a couple of errors to fix up here. It says that public is not working for that. That's BS. Says that this is unhappy with me because it's unhappy with my home controller in my MVC. Interesting. Interesting. Oh, there it was. It's actually a different error that it's having. It's at the very bottom. It says that I can't convert this claim to a string because this needs to be a dot value. Let's go ahead and check it right here. And my home controller is not working, but it's going to build and run. So let's get that ready to uncomment, and then we'll rerun it. It tells me that it can't find one of my assemblies. So let me fix that just a moment. It's here in the web config. I need to change this to remove my system.runtime. Okay, now we're going to do the old trick where we look at this in my Project Explorer. We delete bin and obj. We clean the project. Yeah, there goes the AC here. So I'm going to get a shotgun mic here in the next week or two, and I can put it up here and point it right at me, so that way it'll remove the clicking sound and also ideally the air conditioner. This mic is broken now. It does not work the way it is intended. So that worked, and now we should be able to run it again. My bundle config 2, I think I can get rid of that. There it is, it's running. And we can log in. Okay, so it did not connect to this, so we need to run this one now. It's building. It's starting. It started. Click login. There it is. It kicks through. We log in. We add my claims. It says that this contains more than one. So let me look at that again, because this is saying this claim type should be that it's authorized, right? But I want to look up here because we should have a claim that we're adding called PHS website user. So instead of looking for this one, over here in my account controller, the one that we'll look for is that one. And that's going to be a identity server 3 dot core dot models dot dot constants dot claim types dot role. And my s.value is equal to my PHS website user. Let's try it again. Oh, I gotta update my server cost, huh? Oh, pardon me. It's early this morning still. Let me also, I don't know if I necessarily need to, but we should. Kicks through. You can see we're authenticated. We should be able to come over here and log out. It kicks me out. No auto log out. We log in. It checks to see if it's null, and it's not. My username is, oh, it's not looking for that. And there we are. Okay, so now what I want to do is it's time to, I think, so we got our authentication set up. So now we're going to set up .NET Auth. So to do that, we need to add the NuGet package, which is .NET Auth, right? It's just called .NET Auth. Yeah. I'm going to move this over here. Let's go ahead and add it into my MVC. We're calling it install package .NET Auth. So the first thing that we need to do is implement a controller that creates their logic flow. And so it gives me so let me come over here to my controllers, and we're going to make a new one in here called .NET Open OAuth. You're right. Good call. Never mind, that's called .NET Open Auth. Okay, so let's just correct that. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm looking at the Git, is what I'm looking at. We want to add a new controller in here, and we're going to call this a MVC controller. We're going to call this an auth controller. This thing sets me up already with some logic, so we're going to add this. So we have this. And this is straight from their documentation, so nothing special. Okay. So we're going to change these form authentication, and we have to change these to be looking for claims. So many dependencies. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot. So many dependencies. let's go ahead and, well, I can't do anything until this thing finishes. Okay, so now we can move this up here. My auth controller here should have this login method inside of it. So here. So now here, this open ID relay and party. And then we're going to get this authentication response from my get response. So if it is authenticated, then we want to redirect from the login page. I don't like this. So this is still going to be getting something that identifies. I want to take a look here then at exactly what it was that this does here under my configuration. Because we don't necessarily want to do this. Alright, this may be sort of confusing. Does anyone know if there's an option in Visual Studio so that when you're playing, typing the window scrolls down a couple of lines ahead of where you're currently typing? No, I don't know of anything like that. Because it also tells me that there's this second controller below this, right? This one is called login, but then below it, it wants me to have this postback called login as well. Alrighty, sounds good. There might be an extension, I agree. It says infected FPS. Welcome to the channel. I haven't seen you in here, but I'm sure you've been in here a bit. Identifier here. Login identifier. Request.add, so we can add additional claims requests in here. Let's go ahead and add this in. And then also my .NET method messaging here. That goes away. Oh, interesting. Okay. This thing doesn't have authorization on it, so we should be good to go. We can actually try it, I think, just like that. Forty-three errors. Task here. So this we want to use system.threading.task, right? I don't understand what the problem is here. MS core lib. Can I just remove reference to that? That seems like a really bad idea. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Let's do this unload load trick. Hey Patrick, how are you, man? Yeah, absolutely. My father's actually in Florida too, so everyone's getting worried. It's telling me that in my home controller for MVC, but MVC has been unloaded, so this is the problem right here. So we should be able to build it. Okay, that built. Now we can reload this. Let's try it again. Still 39 errors on this because it doesn't like my inclusion of this is a new error I haven't seen before, so let's just search it real quick. Task is in system threading and MS core lib. Okay, no problem. Found the issue. I have a class being included as a reference that was wrongly included. System.threading. There, that fixed it. Have fun. Catch you when I'm done surviving. Yeah. Which part are you at? If you're still there, what part? Are you on the left or the right? I know it changed directions, so, and there's no really getting out of it. I hope you're not near the city. Where are you? Oh, I have sandbags to finish on this one. Yeah, understood, man. Okay, let's run it. This needs to be my startup project. We should be able to run this and get my auth controller, but I probably need to add in a view, right? Open dogs. Okay, let's see it work. It says that it can't load this reference again, right? Probably for system runtime, so let me kill that. Oh no, it's working. Does it need my server up? Hey there, Infected FPS. Thank you for that follow. Appreciate that. If you have any questions, please put them into the channel. We've got a really active and supportive community. Join us at discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. And then all the old videos are up on the channel. And that is at, just a second, this URL right here. Says that it can't find system. So let's just kill that. That's over here in my web config. Here. system.runtime. Okay, let's go ahead and run it. So here are samples that we can look at for Identity Server 3. This might be a better way to go, because if we look at the samples here, we can see that we have these clients, and I can look right in here for a MVC code. Oh, I want a custom console, client, credentials, no, custom grant, MVC Owen client, form post client, client hybrid, MVC Owen client. If I look in here, this thing, no, I want the one simple ASP Web API. I want the one with the post back. So there's one in here called Code Flow Manual. This is the one we want. So when this doesn't work right now, okay, this logged me out. We can come over here to my, it was called OAuth, right? When I look here at my controller under OAuth, I guess it was just called auth. What is app views? That's fine. And we were calling it index. It has a view, but we don't have one. And then also login. So it's called auth and then login. Log on. Logon says that it doesn't have a view. And it doesn't. So I can probably add one in here real quick. Called, under my auth, we're going to call one called index. And then we'll have another one in here called login, log on, pardon me. When I run this now, this is the one we want. All right, so now it's running my login. It's going to check to see if I'm authenticated, and it's going to say that my response here from my OpenID is currently OpenID relaying party is going to be nothing. So this one's not going to work because this is still going to be doing authorization. So we can actually uninstall this, and we're going to do it manually now. And we can get rid of auth. So let's go ahead and we're going to follow this example here. The first piece that this thing has is it has a app controller, which has a index and a call service. It has a refresh token, a revoke access token, an update cookie, all this stuff that we don't care. Let's take a look at my home controller. We're going to need to make down here under auth, we can get rid of this. we need to make a new MVC controller here, and I'm going to call this my auth controller again. So the first thing that this wants me to do is to be able to set this temporary state, which is going to have a temp state and a couple of these claims, I guess. And then also it wants me to do this post called index, which is going to set the states, and then it's going to do a authorized request, which comes from identity model claim. And it's going to have these constants as my .NET simple OpenID extensions, simple registration. Nope. It's just going to be core. Nope. It'll be ASP.NET identity. Nope. We can probably add in these cookies up here, or I'm sorry, these pieces to get it. Sample. So this comes from this actual constants, models, views. This came from sample. I'm looking for sample. Actually, I'm going to look for constants. Here we are. So this thing wants my authorized endpoint, which is going to be my base URL, which in our case is my identity server. No, it's not. This is going to be string base URL. Here, we're going to say that the client ID is going to be 300, or I guess we'll try to do this to the my identity server first. Response type is going to be codes. We're going to pass in our scopes. We're going to have this redirect URL. A state, and then whatever that no new nonce. I've read about that thing, but this is another state parameter to avoid cross-site scripting attacks or something. Okay. The next thing that we need is manual, MVC, form post client, MVC, code flow, manual. So we also need to have a callback controller, which has this. So we can say a auth callback controller. This one's going to have this index function. This one's also going to have another get temp state, I believe, right? Or is that drawing from get temp state comes from here. Okay. We also have this get token. parse JWT. I got to figure out what that is in a few minutes, or where that comes from. Then we also need to have this validate response and sign-in token. We have another one called validate token. And then another one called get user infos. Claims or parse JWT. Token client, using identity model token client. Constants is my token endpoint. Let me find that. Like that. And then this is your callback here. This is my actual server that I'm on, right? Requested authorization code async. What is this? This is the URI that you're hitting to request the authorization code. So that's my identity server. So let's grab that info. And now here when you sign in, you want to validate it, and then you want to get this new list of claims, and you don't want to that's okay. And then you want to add this new claim here called access token, and your response is going to be access token, and then we'll say external or something like that. Use this identity model for that. It wants my claim type and the resource, and then what's right, but I don't know why it wants that. This should only be 2. So let me look up claim. System security.claims. We need to add this in a few more places. One goes there, one goes there, one goes there, one goes there. This needs to have this thing in it. Like that. I need all my constants. This is called my user info endpoint, which looks at here. Alrighty, sounds good. This token handler, I think this is probably something we already have. This base address is probably is up here. I don't see where the base URI was supposed to go in here. Yes, I do. This goes in as the base URI here. This claims is going to be this system.security.claims.claim. This claims identity is using that namespace. Validate token needs to get my base URI. So that goes here, and then also here. This one needs to have a base URI. Okay, I think down here we need to have inside of my views at least two. One for auth and one for auth callback. Both of those are called index, right? If you guys haven't, please click the follow. We have a pretty active and supportive community. Join us at discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Also, if you're interested in any of the older videos, we have those available up on YouTube, and they don't have any audio associated with them. I'm sorry, they don't have any music with them, so you can watch all of them, and the URL is right there. Please give me a follow if you could. Okay. The next one here is an auth callback index. And then we're going to try to run all this. Encoding does not exist in the current context. It does now. JObject doesn't exist. It does now. The namespace sample can't be found. That's gone. That's fine. We've had these errors a bunch. I think that that'll do it. Okay, here it is. It says that it needs to find the system.runtime, so let me kill that. And we'll run it again. Okay, it's going to load. I probably need to launch this auth server too. I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, here's smart admin. We can log in. Don't want to do that. What I actually wanted to do was it's my auth/logon or auth. Here now in my auth callback controller, auth controller, let's take a look at what happens when I go to index. Well, this goes and creates a get. So I need to actually do a post on this. So couldn't you do this as a void? Couldn't you do this as a return index, and you want to do it of your scopes, which is going to be a OpenID, and a profile. My base URL is https:// this /identity. And my redirect URL is going to be that one. Let's try it again. Okay, we're on. Let's come over and take a look now at my auth, log on, log in, auth. It boots me over. We're going to kick down. It's going to do a create request. Okay, it's going to redirect me to my auth callback controller, which is up here at index. It says that the application is unknown. That's because this thing also has to have a, if I look inside of my startup, we can see that it also needs to have this 303. Response type is code. Scopes. We have a redirect URI, which is this one. We have our scopes, we have our state, we have our, okay. So this should be kicking back onto localhost, and that would be back here on my home controller, which would be right here. Let's try it again. I'm assigning roles, aren't I? Right here, OpenID and profile. I'm only trying to get 2 roles on this one. Okay, it's going to check to see if it's authorized. Yeah, that's correct. This is not for authorization. This is for chat tokens. The client application is not known or is not authorized. This one has identity connect. This one has identity login. Okay, let's try it again. We go to auth, it's going to kick. It tells me that it can't find identity authorized, but what about if I did log in, log on? So that means that this one wants to have a login, and this one wants to have a login, right? Something like that. ID token. Let's try it again. Okay, it's going to kick. It's going to say no. Okay, it's going to kick. Tell me it's got an error determining what application I'm trying to sign into. Let me go ahead and take this and put this in Notepad, and then we're going to compare that to the one that we get under login. So the one under login has already cut through most of the BS. So here under startup, I think we need to add another client in here, right? Let's try it. So if I was to come in here and add in under my client configuration here, this is one. This is going to be code client credentials. This will be the website user. And this one will be chat auth. This one will be 3004, and this one will be following my authorization code flow. My allowed scopes will be PHS, MVC, and also will have chat. My client URI is this. My redirect URL was auth callback. You need to have in here client secrets. Client secrets is a list of secret, which has a value, a description, and an expiration. So we could just do a value here, right? Of my secret. Okay, now we're going to come up to the identity server. We're going to set that as default, and we're going to add we'll update the database. That'll seed it. I want to come back and look at my login controller. We got something that failed here. It says it failed to build. Secret does not exist. try it again. All right, that should have worked. More than one migration. I gotta remember where this is. There's commands that I saved for this. My desktop, I think. Second. These ones. Okay, that ran. Let me come back and take a look here again at my auth controller. This is going to be my auth callback. This thing is going to be a code. This thing was going to be an authorize. It might be a connect.authorize. But probably not. Let's give it another whirl. Here it is. Oh, this is going to be the identity server. We need to launch the other one. Where is it? There is no build error. It's being used by another process because I think you have to start your MVC first. Let's go ahead and set this as the startup project and try it again. I shouldn't need a slash because my base URI should have one. You're right. When I look back over here at the migration, my callback does not have one, which means that you're right, that one does. Let's try it again. Good eye, good eye. All right. Launching, launching. Okay, here we go. It kicks through. It's looking for the server. Let's try it again. And it kicks. The server says no. Let me try one more time. If I look back over here in my client configuration, this thing was a connect, right? It does need the get This might work. It might need to be ID token though. We'll find out real quick. Okay, it's not going to kick. It's going to kick me back over here. Client application is not known. Auth call back, and then we have a state. So it says 3003 plus this scope, open ID and profile. So when I looked back at when I created these clients, it's this one. And then it's this one. Let's just try that. I want to check in my SQL to make sure that that's there. It is as 3003. But I believe that you actually called this 3004. This thing does have a secret called secret. Hey there, Nature Eggs. Thank you for that follow. Appreciate that. If you have any questions, please pop them into the channel. We've got a really active and supportive community. Thanks for checking this out. You don't send your client secret here. This needs to be a 4. And then let's go ahead and update that database. Well, what do you do without you? Have just a couple of typos. Try it again. I still don't see it in there yet, so it hasn't finished writing the seed. Just another minute. There it is. So now I don't see it still. Okay, let me rebuild that. I did that too fast, huh? It doesn't like auto mapper in my Configuration line 59. Let's just see if we can get it though. So if I looked up here and I went to my page and I looked at my manage NuGet packages for the, and then I looked at my auto mapper, I should see that it's here in my identity server, and it is. I see that it's here in the 6.11, 6.11. It says auto mapper is not located here in this project. So under references, we have auto mapper. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one. And then I guess I can remove it from here. Uninstall package auto mapper. Identity server 3 entity framework depends on it. Thank you, Cam13 Maka. Thank you for that follow. Appreciate that. Install package auto mapper. Hey, and Reserve Jesus, thank you as well for that follow. Very much appreciate that. It says that this already exists, so we'll do a reinstall on it. I saw consolidation information. Yeah, it's super annoying. Give this a minute as it updates the packages here. Well, I actually think it's going to do the entire project, huh? So, for me, guys, unfortunately, I'm out of time. We'll finish this one up tomorrow. We're really close with the manual code authorization flow. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the channel. Join us at discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. If you haven't clicked the follow, please do that for me. We also have a YouTube if you want to ever go back and look at any of the original videos, and I posted that up in the channel. And we will be back tomorrow and try to start as early as possible. So until then, guys, have a good evening, morning,